Hello, hello, everybody. I am going to try something new and go live and just have conversations with anybody who's in the chat that wants to ask questions or talk about what they're doing in their reselling business. I'm going to start out by introducing myself because I feel like not everybody knows me or my whole story with reselling. But my name is Ashley, and I'm with Chit Farm Treasures. I have been a nurse in the ICU in multiple hospitals for the last 10 years. And I went on workman's comp in August and decided to take reselling for the most part full time until I get back to work. But I have been reselling now for almost 2.5 years. eBay is where I do 90% of my reselling. But over the last year, I have started, pardon me guys, I'm moving around here. I have started reselling on Mercari, Poshmark, Depop this year, and Whatnot in December of 2025, so just recently. And I enjoy it across all the platforms. I also sell on Facebook Marketplace. My top platform that I resell on is eBay. My second running is controversial for a lot of people I know, but it's Facebook Marketplace. I personally do not ship with Facebook Marketplace. I don't feel like there's enough seller protection or even buyer protection. I've been burned trying to buy on Facebook Marketplace when shipping before. And you can report them. It doesn't matter. The person that I purchased from to have it was jewelry, and it wasn't much. It was like $10. But I was going to have it shipped to me from within my state. And they messaged me after getting my money and said that their storage unit had been broken into, which could happen, and that they lost all their items. But then the story just grew and grew, and we're going to get you your money back, but they never refunded me. When I started reading through the reviews, which I should have done before making a purchase, I know, it was my fault. This person had done this to multiple people, and multiple people had reported, it looks like, but then she just blocks us. And so there's bad reviews. She's blocking people, and she's still out there doing this to this day. They have done nothing. So it doesn't give me a warm fuzzies to go ship on Facebook Marketplace. Now with eBay, everyone complains about the fees, but man, I feel like their fees are lower than some of the other platforms, depending on whether you promote and how you promote, and that's a whole nother ballgame altogether. But if I were to start my own page and try to drive traffic to it, or start a brick and mortar and try to advertise and pay all the fees associated with that, I feel like the fees on eBay, I don't love them, nobody does, are pretty, I'm willing to pay them to be able to get my items out and make the money that I do for my family. So I don't know how many of you are moms that are trying to do this from home, but I have 3 children. I have a daughter who's actually out of my home, and she's about to expect her first. I'm going to be a grandma, y'all, in June. And then I have 2 boys, 18 and 15. And so my life is busy, and I have raised 3 kids at home and know how busy it gets. And I did do this out of my home for a while as a hobby. And I think it can be done full time if you have enough space dedicated to it. I'm blessed enough to have this shop, even though it's not very large, that I work out of. I rent it. It's actually a salon in the front. And so I guess it was the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, I was actually getting my hair cut. And I said, what do you do with the space in the back, like the rooms? I know they used to have a massage therapist in this room right here. And I knew that she had been gone. And so having gone to the massage therapist, I knew there was also a room across the hall and a full bathroom behind this door. And then another room that leads to the outside in the back that had like a washer and dryer in it. And she said, I don't know if we're going to rent it or just leave it be. And I said, I would love to be considered for the space, but it would not be salon related, and discussed a little bit about what I did. Guys, in a week, I was signing a lease, and I've been here since. I love it. I would like more space, but it works for me and my family for now. The perks is across the street from the post office. If I go out that back door, Across the alley is a post office, not a post office, the post office for town. USPS, I can walk my packages directly over, walk them, the boxes that I get delivered from Poshmark. Everybody should know about those. If you don't, let me know. They just call me when they're in. I walk over there or drive over there with my truck this time and pick them up and come back. And so it's not a very time consuming thing for me to have to go get my packages scanned in and shipped out. The second perk about my location is there's a salon in the front, so it's a business, and it's on Main Street in my town. I live in a small town, rural area, but with Facebook Marketplace as a circle around, my ADHD goes everywhere sometimes, guys. I am working here, and I can have people who want to purchase from me meet me in the lobby up here at a business on Main Street without having to give out my address. And as we all know with Facebook, if they don't show up, it's frustrating because a lot of people are driving to go meet someone, setting up time. I don't have to drive to go meet somebody. I'm here working anyways. If you don't show up, you don't show up. No skin off my back. And so for that reason, Facebook has become one of my number 2 places. If you're at home and you don't mind people doing porch pickup, guys, Facebook could be a game changer if you're not using it. There was a couple months ago, actually in the month of December, I actually grossed more on Facebook than I did on eBay. Doesn't happen that often, but I did. And it all comes down to what you source as well. So that's a little bit about me, where I'm at. My husband also has a Facebook page with a lot of followers. He is a farrier and he shoes horses for a living. And so we have horses and farm animals and dogs and cats and chickens galore. So we have that going on as well at home. Let's see here. I'm a fly by the seats kind of a gal, if you don't know that about me as well. So I didn't really prepare an order of things to discuss today. And if anybody joins us and has questions, just let me know. I don't claim to know everything, but I've been doing it for a couple of years and I have some tips and tricks. I am always consuming content on YouTube to learn. I'm not one to go through and read all of the changes every time a platform makes a change, but I always have YouTube playing on the background. I have a TV on the wall. It's always playing. There's always YouTube content playing about reselling in the back when I'm up here working. I would say 95% of the time. And so I learn from many people what sells, where to source, how the businesses work, when business policies change. And I think it's a very good tool that we all have that we can utilize. So Justin Resells is one that I really enjoy watching. He is very good about updating us anytime there's a change in eBay. And he's very calm, soothing voice, no nonsense, just, to the point. And he's very descriptive and educational. He's very easy to learn from. J-Ride Flips is someone that I have watched throughout the whole entire time as well. And he is very good at the finance side of it and breaking things down logically. But he also is great at providing content of what sells well. I have learned a lot of things I wouldn't have thought to source when I first started from Jake with J-Ride Flips. And then Kat with the Nurse Flipper is another top one of mine that I watch. And she is very good at what sells and what resells. Somebody's in here. Hello. Say hi if you would like to. If you have any questions, let me know. So consuming content from these people and other YouTubers is the way that I got my business started and how I've learned the most. And so I'm hoping to do a live every Monday at 10 a.m. and just get people in here and discussing. We can all learn from each other and grow together with our businesses. This last weekend has been a very busy weekend for me. So I have a death pile. Who doesn't? We all do. So my death pile isn't as large as it used to be, and I've been working through it, and I'm proud of that. But I also had a box mountain. I talked a little bit about this in a post that I made today, but the back room that I was talking about back here, bathroom, and then I have a back room. It's not insulated, it's literally just a storage room, basically. But when I come in that back door, any boxes that I would get, I would just put in the pile. So, like I said, my shop is on Main Street. There's dumpsters back behind in the alley at that back door. There is a furniture store. There is a boutique shop across the street. There is a restaurant. There's a photography store. There is a screen printing store. Boxes are always available back there for the most part. Now, I may go a week or two without seeing a lot of boxes, then all of a sudden they dump a bunch of boxes. And so I would gather them up when they did so that I would have boxes for shipping for free, and I would put them in that little storage room in the back. I also got in the habit of when I would source from an online auction or a large lot of items, I would bring them in and set them in that room, and then I would grab things out of that room to process. Well, what happened is my boxes got mixed in with my inventory, and so I had like this box inventory mountain, and I didn't even know what I had, guys. And so for a little while, honestly, it was like, out of sight, out of mind. I'm going to deal with that another day, right? Like we all do. Yesterday, my son and I, my 18-year-old son and 15-year-old son, Coden and Miller, we emptied out that whole entire room, set it outside. I broke down all the boxes, found boxes that I didn't need, which is a lot of them now that I'm using the Poshmark boxes, right? And the Poshmark boxes come flat already, easy to store. And so I got rid of like 2 truckloads full of boxes, y'all. That's absolutely insane. One regular size truck and one little S10 truck, but still, they went to the recycling center, got rid of those, got organized, was able to put my boxes together that I have from Poshmark, the Ground Advantage, and I have some priority boxes back there for when I do whatnot, and all of my poly mailers. I'm trying to sweet talk my hubby into building me a cute little shipping station. Y'all, I hope that works out. He says he can do it, but we all know how time gets, so we'll see. I found so much inventory that I forgot I had. And I also brought in some new inventory from what I sourced this weekend. Also got some inventory yesterday that was in a box. So the landlord stores some of her things here, like Christmas materials and things like that. And there was a box, and I pulled all that out and let her kind of look through the stuff to see if there's anything she wanted to get rid of or keep. There was a box of vintage baby clothes back there that I assumed was hers because it wasn't mine. It's been there since I started renting the place. I opened it up. She says, I don't know where those came from. They're not mine. I said, they're not mine either. She said, well, maybe it was a previous tenant, but I've been here for 2 years. So she said, they're yours if you want them. Guys, there's vintage Winnie the Pooh and Disney toddler clothes back there from like the 80s and 90s. And I'm so excited because some of those, if you don't know, go look on eBay, sell anywhere from $80 to $250. It could be a lot. So I was excited to have those. I'm going to get to listing this week, and I'm going to get through that entire area of my death pile. I have another area, but we won't discuss that today. My goal in 2026 is to get it all listed and increase my sales within by June. My goal was within 6 months by $2,000 a month profit after fees. And then by the end of the year to increase them by $4,000 a month. So that is my goal. And the only way to do that is to source great items and list daily and list like your life depends on it if you're going to run this as a business and not a hobby. I also, from time to time, find things that I have listed in the past that probably wasn't the best sourcing idea, as we all do. For me, if I've listed it and it's a small item, I might knock it down to even $5.99 on eBay. I don't care. Really cheap just to move it. But I'm not going to end it and go pull it out of my inventory and haul it off somewhere and take all the time to do that. I'll leave it, even if it takes 2 years to sell, which I have sold some things even this week that had been listed for a year or two before it actually sold. So things like that still sell. But I've made it my goal to no longer bring inventory like that into my system. I do get quite a few things like that still because I primarily source at auctions and online estate sales and on eBay. And so I'll get a large amount of items. And sometimes with those valuable items that I know I've sourced, just comes other things that I don't need in my business. I don't know what you all do with those kind of things. I am blessed enough to have a farm auction, everything auction, that goes on a couple miles down the road between Stillwater and Perkins once every weekend. It's called Rose's Weekly Auction, and they take just about anything on consignment. You never know what you're going to find, but you can always sell almost anything there. I may only make $1 or $12 or $27 if I take a whole table lot full of stuff up there. The last time I dropped off, I filled a table and a half, and I made $27. But you know what? It was stuff that I had already profited on to where it didn't cost me anything. And the fact that maybe I paid $100 for a carload full of stuff, and I'd already sold triple, quadruple what I put into it out of the other items that were worth it. And so if I get $27 out of the rest of that carload, cool beans. It's extra money and it's out of my shop, and I don't have to add it to my death pile of things that aren't worth listing. So I think as a reseller, unless you only do in-person sourcing at garage sales, estate sales, thrift sales, in which you should be comping every single item you pick up and making sure it's worth your time to sell it if you do it that way. But if you do large lots at all, I think it is so important to have a place to recycle, to donate, or to move your items. Otherwise, you will become overwhelmed with a huge death pile of things that aren't worth your time or your money to list. Time is money in this game. Time's money in any field and in any career. But it's not worth your time to take pictures and list something that you're going to make $1 on when you've spent $1 on it. If you're going to take $1 for things, whatnot, y'all. And you better have large inventory and not be scared to get in front of the camera. I'm not somebody who's like the most appealing person in the world on camera. I know that, but I still get up there. I did a whatnot show this week on VHS videos. I did one where I had 0 sales. I was on for an hour and a half and didn't sell anything. It happens. I've had whatnot shows where I have sold 150 items in a matter of 3 hours, and they all went out the door. You never know. And that is a slow building platform. And I am working on that platform this year as well, since I just started in December. But you have to be able to just say it's not defeat. I got viewers in there. I got more followers. And the followers are what count when you're on whatnot, in my opinion. So if we go back to sourcing, how many of you source online? I learned about sourcing online from a video that Kat, the nurse flipper, did, and I believe she just recently did another one on it. And then I also learned about sourcing online from J Red Picks, which we discussed earlier. So the online auctions that I use most are HiBid for my area and Purple Wave. PurpleWave.com is government auctions. And so you can find auctions in your town, in nearby towns, or whatever. Like my city, for example, recently auctioned off 2 used police cars on Purple Wave. I have found digital cameras on Purple Wave. I have found fishing equipment, computers, and things like that. And then on HiBid, it's truly estate sales. Like if you were going into this person's home for an estate sale, but they're all online. And you can search at the top by the zip code and see how far away or how close away you want to go for pickup. And you can also filter out to shipping only and have it delivered. I haven't done that yet because I am finding enough within a 2-hour drive, which I'm willing to drive for good inventory on HiBid, that I don't have to have items shipped to me, but I would if I needed to. So the thing I like the most about HiBid is most auctions are listed for a minimum of 5 days. I've seen as long as 30 days that you can take every night to go through and scroll through the items and see if it's something that you want to source. You can look up the comps. You can make a note, if you save it, of how much you're willing to spend on it, which I think is so important, because even as resellers, when you're in an auction, it's very easy to get carried away and keep bidding, keep bidding, keep bidding, and all of a sudden you've paid more for it than what you can make off of it. That's not worth it. So if I do a comp on an item in high bid, there's a little pencil under the item where you can make a note, and I make a note, hey, this comped for $150 with like a 50% sale through rate. Do not pay more than $20 for it, or do not pay more than whatever you're willing to pay for it. I put that in my notes so that when I'm going through for the auction, I have saved the items that I want to bid. I have a note of how much it's worth, and I have a note of exactly how much I'm willing to pay. And then on auction day, I just boom, 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 boom. And I will get a lot of items that way. And sometimes the items are a lot. I have a video of an auction I did. This one actually was Midwest Auctions, but it was ran very similar to high bid. And I bid on the entire contents of a closet. And so I think that I paid for that closet. I'd have to go back and look, but I think I paid like $50 or $75. I honestly don't remember. I'd have to go back and look for the entire closet. And it was some work. They actually didn't advertise that it was an upstairs closet. And so I was the last one picking up the day, which I prefer to do. I don't like being the first one there, because then you're waiting in line to pick up your items. You're shouldering with other people in and out of the house to get all of your things. I find if I go towards the end of the day to pick up my items from an auction, there's less people, there's less stuff that you are sorting through to be able to find your items, because a lot of times you have to go in and get your own things. But there was no one downstairs. I literally just started taking the clothes from this closet because it was so much more than what I thought it was off of the picture. And I was just throwing it over the staircase. And then when I went down the staircase, I had made a pile of clothes so tall that I ended up having to crawl over them on the stairs to get down to be able to get them. It was so much I could barely shut the doors to my car. But y'all, the clothes sold on Whatnot, those were my first Whatnot shows, in 2 days. All of them, except for some scrubs that were stained, mismatched, and just the tops or just the bottoms. And those I just took to our clothing donation center. Not a big deal. But then I have found a book that I sold for $20 in there. I found some embroidery paints. Didn't know they were a thing. I don't know. If you come across some embroidery paints, that's a bolo, guys. I'd never heard of them. They were vintage. You could tell some were used, some were new. Some of them had even leaked out the edges. It didn't matter. Sold it for $90. New, and rather quickly. And I'm still finding things here or there that I have found out at Closet. A pair of shoes. I bid on the closet mostly because of the shoes. There were so many boxes in the picture of shoes that you couldn't see inside of them, but it did say in the description, always read your descriptions, y'all, that there were shoes in every single box. And so I bid because they were high-end shoes, and I was so excited, like 12 or 15 pairs. But guys, when I got the shoes home, every single one of them had dry rot. I found out when I went to pick up the items that the house had sat empty for 2 years. I did not know that going into it. It might have affected my decision on purchasing the closet, but I got it and I still made a lot of profit on it anyway. So that turned out being okay. I think I probably put all together with shipping, the Whatnot show, listing on eBay, about 4 days into that auction. I spent around $75. Plus I drove an hour to Oklahoma City and an hour home. And then my small amounts of shipping, the smaller items that have sold since then that weren't clothing. But I've profited probably about $700 or $800. I go back and forth. Some people are like, yeah, that's a good turnaround. It is. But then if you break down the amount of hours, it's not bad. For me, it worked. But for others, they may say no. It just depends on if you are looking for the fast dime or the slow dollar. I could have turned that into a lot more had I sold those vintage clothes on eBay, but there were so many, I couldn't get them all into my shop, so they had to go fast. So the platform you sell on really could be your own business decision due to space and the amount of inventory you have, or whether you want to go ahead and hold out for that slow dollar. I also have done Whatnot where I've taken large amounts of books. I have a video over that. I got a truckload of books and they didn't do great on Whatnot. Nope. I sold, again, I'd have to go back. I'm bad at numbers. I sold probably around 68, 69, something like that, books on the Whatnot show for like $1 to $2 a piece, depending on what show they were in. The rest of them, I shipped a lot out to Thrift Books and World Books and Book Runner. Those are all buyback stores. You can scan the barcodes on books if you didn't know. And if it's one that they can resell, they'll pay you a certain percentage to ship it to them. They pay for the shipping, they pay for the label. You just have to package them in a box and take them to either FedEx, which, whole nother story. I don't like using FedEx, but they're paying for it. So FedEx or USPS or UPS, depending on the weight of the amount of books that you're shipping, they'll send you a label. They get to choose. But it wasn't a ton of money that I made doing that. I think all in all, I made maybe $60, give or take, sending out to those places. And I kept some books back for eBay and the rest of them got donated. But I was about to say, I did profit on some of the books I've set back for eBay, a little over $200 or $300 worth so far. And I have enough books that haven't been listed and that need to be listed that I should make another $500 off of those. It's all profit. But in the end, I learned a big lesson that moving 1,700 books for that low profit was not worth my time. It just wasn't. And then I went and did it again with the DVDs. But not intentionally with the DVDs, not DVDs. I didn't even do DVDs. They were VHSs. I can't even remember what it was that I actually did. With the VHSs, I actually thought I was only getting 200 because the ad from where I was picking them up was 200 VHS tapes in good condition, no mold, working, blah, blah. And she had a picture of some of them. And I went and picked them up, and I still haven't even counted all of them, but there's probably 12 to 1,500 VHSs. And I should have just said, nope, I'll take probably around 200 and been done, because I just wanted to do a fast Whatnot show with them. It was a 20-minute drive and they were free. But I took them all. And the amount of time that it has taken me to get through, I was stepping over VHS tapes in my shop. I had them piled next to my chair. I was too much. When I cleaned out the back room yesterday, I added another shelf, and they're all on the shelf and organized so I can look at them, go through them, and get rid of them as needed, and even do a Whatnot show back there. And that was necessary, but the amount of time that's going to take me to get through all those probably also is not worth my time. I think that this week I am going to continue going through my death pile and getting those things listed instead. I did, I was asking me if I want to turn on reactions. I don't know how to turn that on, y'all. Does anybody know how? Let's see. Use hand gestures to send reactions during a video call. Turn open. We're not on a video call. Then tap reactions. Interesting. Okay. I know I've seen some places where they're like doing hearts or thumbs up and it does reactions, but it doesn't seem to be doing that here. I don't know. I'll research into that some. So, I'm still sourcing good items. I went to an estate sale this weekend, and it was one that was not run by an estate company. It wasn't advertised well because it was in my town and I didn't know about it until I passed a sign when I was going to the auction. Stopped in. I got from them some vintage ladies watches that I know will sell well. Because I comped them while I was there. Don't be scared to get your phone out at an estate sale, garage sale, thrift store, y'all. Nobody cares if you're using your phone. Nobody cares. Some people might care if you're recording. Most places don't. But nobody cares if you're looking up comps at an estate sale. You give them the price they want. They're happy. They're moving their stuff. But I got some food processors. I got a canister vacuum cleaner. And I got some vintage nightgowns. 100% cotton Disney nightgowns. Some vintage, I'm trying to remember the name, but they were silk with embroidery around the top. And another one has lace on it. And the one with the embroidery also has a night coat that has matching embroidery on it. Guys, those sell so well for me. I hate selling clothes because I don't like doing the measurements and laying it out and taking the time to do that. But when I come across one that I know is going to be a good profit, I still pick it up. I use Smart Sizer. I learned about that from Cat the Nurse Flipper. It's an app, if you have an iPhone, that allows you just lay the clothing out flat, you take a picture of it, and it puts all the measurements on it for you. So you don't have to use a tape measure or a ruler or a yardstick. So if I have to do measurements, that's what I use. But the kitchen items, I got a vintage deep fryer as well that's all in one, and a pressure cooker. So pressure cookers do really well for me. Most vintage kitchen items do really well for me. I'm always looking out for Salad Master pots. They sell like in a week. Boop, boop, boop. Anything KitchenAid is going to sell. Oh, look, I even have this. This one is a Sunbeam. I don't know if you can see that. Oh. So these things sell for anywhere from $30 to $40 a set, right? And I'm sure a lot of people know this already if you watch YouTube at all, but like, y'all, people are always looking for the parts to their own items. This, just this, sells for $20. The blade inside sells for $15. And then the machine will sell for another $20. So you can sell it all as a whole for $30 to $40, or you can part it out and make $40 to $60 on it. And that's with a lot of kitchen appliances. Not all, so always do your comps, always look everything up. But many will. Same with the vacuum cleaner. The vacuum cleaner I got is a Hoover Professional brand canister vacuum. Plugged it in at the estate sale, made sure it worked. Guys, I could sell it all together for $100 and ship this giant thing, which I have done. I have shipped a vacuum cleaner all the way from Oklahoma to New York and made a $120 profit on an item I paid $1.50 for at an estate sale. But the hose alone to this vacuum will sell for $30. The vacuum head itself will sell for $40. And there's a few other parts that I'll have to look up to see what it's worth. And then I don't have to ship the whole huge thing. I can take the motor out if I want. I don't want. That's what I have boys for. They like to tinker with things like that. Let them take it apart and I'll list it. But don't pass up on your vacuum cleaners, especially if they're vintage, y'all. Like, I have 5 more vacuum cleaners. I got another estate sale back here that I have to go through still. I know, right? The death pile. But vacuum cleaners, I have yet to pick one up that I've not profited $100 on. Make sure you look them up. Like I said, not all. The ones that they're making today that are made to last a year and break, so you have to buy a new one, they're not worth my time to flip unless I want to flip it on Facebook Marketplace because I got it for free and want to make $20. But vintage vacuum cleaners, y'all, especially if you get an old commercial one. That's the one that I made $125 on. It was a commercial vacuum last day of an estate sale for $1.50. Was it a pain to ship it? Yeah, but not as much of a pain as I thought it would be. I think my biggest thing was doing enough research to find the right size box to fit it, which now that I've done that research, I know. So the next time I want to ship one. And I actually got it at, I was about to say UPS, but it wasn't UPS, it was U-Haul. And it was their sport box that you would ship golf clubs in. Like a whole entire golf bag and golf bags in for moving. And I think the box cost me like $7. I made sure to include that in my shipping rate. And I made sure that the head of the vacuum was wrapped in bubble wrap really well. And then I put some foam. I get rolls of like foam that you would wrap like furniture in. Used rolls frequently. And so I had that. So I wrapped the rest of the vacuum in that. I also bubble wrapped the handle and bubble wrapped the end of the cord so that the metal prongs wouldn't get bent. Put it in the box, shipped it. It got there safely, and it was $125 profit after fees. So people will pay for the vintage items that they want, guys. When I started out, was scared to ship glassware. I was scared of the big electronics, but now I'll even freight items. I don't even care. If it's gonna make me a profit that's worth my time and effort, I don't care. Most items that I thrift for now, I like to have low amount in my purchase. I have to be able to double my money, at least for me. And most of the times I like to 75% my money. But if it's not going to sell for, $20 or more, it's not worth my time to list most of the time. I will whatnot it or pass it on. If I know I can break it down and sell things for 20, 30, 40, and I know as a whole I can make $100 on it, sure, because it's one item, I can break that down and get that whole thing listed probably in 10 minutes. So we've discussed sourcing. I do most of mine online, Purple Wave, High Bid, eBay. On eBay, when I'm sourcing on eBay, I do lots. So I'll get on and search estate sale lot, or remote control lot, or jewelry lot, or junk drawer lot. I said estate sale lot. I will look for Salvation Army lots, and I will look for Goodwill lots, because Goodwill and Salvation Army guys are taking some of their best equipment inventory and auctioning it off on eBay. This is where I get inventory shipped directly to me. I think it was November or December. I got on and bought a junk drawer lot from an individual that looked like she hadn't sold much on eBay, didn't really know what she had, obviously, but there was some random remotes in there. They're what caught my eye. And then some jewelry, some old coins that weren't worth anything. A couple of frames that looked like maybe they had been silver with turquoise, but it was hard to tell from the picture. And then some little toys and a couple of old postcards. Guys, I won the lot for $19. Within 3 days, I sold a Bose remote control for a Bose audio system for $40. I sold a JVC remote of some kind. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look, for like $19.99, I think it was. And a Logitech Harmony remote that was in there for $100. Because I sold it as untested, because I didn't have the charging port to be able to plug it in or charge it to see if it worked. Had it worked, I would have sold it for $150 plus. One lot, I paid $19, $15 for it. It was less than $20 that I paid for it. And the rest of the items that weren't worth much, I allowed it back up and listed on eBay again as a junk drawer lot for like $9.99, just to boom. There was a vintage Oscar Mayer Wiener whistle in there that I thought was funny, and so I went ahead and listed it individually. As I say, I don't list things that aren't worth at least $20. I listed it for $10 just because I thought it was cute and funny, and I remembered having one as a kid. It's still sitting in my store. That's okay, though. Somebody will come across it and want the old Oscar Mayer Wiener whistle. So, question. Does anybody thrift something that they intended to sell and they haven't listed? Not because it's in their death pile or your opportunity pile, as Sunny Las Vegas calls it, but just because you kind of fell in love with it. I did that. I thrifted something last year. I saw it and I thought it was so fugly. And most people have seen it and thought it was fugly. But it was just so fugly that I was like, that has to sell. I didn't comp it. I saw someone list on Facebook Marketplace. I said I wanted it. I went and picked it up. And it was this lamp right here. Can y'all see that behind me? Y'all. It's an interesting lamp, right? Definitely mid-century modern. all the fruit and stuff back there. But I'm not gonna lie, everything on that wall has not been listed, and I need to get it listed. This lamp also has a ginormous lampshade that doesn't fit right here that I need to get a stain out of. But when I picked it up, I noticed it was a Marlboro lamp. If y'all are not familiar with Marlboro, not Marlboro like the cigarettes, just Marlboro, they made custom lamps, and their lamps sell anywhere. I've seen individuals, but I've sell for like 50 plus, right? I've comped this lamp particularly at $1,200. I know, right? It's ugly, but it would sell for around $1,200 if I list it. I might actually get a little less out of it. Maybe if I were to guess 8 to 9, I need to do a little more research on that, but I haven't even done the research on it because a couple of the pineapple things are broken and there's a couple cracks on the back side with one of the bananas. But I think it's ugly and I fell in love with it and I stayed right there in my shop for a year. I don't know. If you like something, would you keep it or list it, y'all? I'm kind of the crazy lamp lady around here. I know there's already someone called Crazy Lamp Lady on YouTube, or I might have taken that name, because when I first started, 90% of what I thrifted were lamps. And I never realized that I had such a liking for lamps, but when I started thrifting them and selling them, I really enjoyed them. And it's something I always keep my eye out for is odd lamps, and I've sold my fair share of lamps, and they usually go for cheap. At estate sales, people just want them gone because they're big and cumbersome, and most people don't like shipping big and cumbersome. Floor lamps, guys, the old halogen floor lamps sell for $100 all day long on eBay. I get them every time I come across one. I wonder if I can flip the screen. I'll show you another lamp. You ready? You'll see this. Boop, boop, boop. That's a neon light. Pardon my boxes and stuff that I have in the floor, but that is an original neon lamp that is signed by the artist. There was 285 made in 1978, and this is number 18 of 285. The last one for the full thing sold for $9,000. I've had it appraised by a neon specialist in the city, and I get so many comments on it. I actually have this one listed. I could kick myself because in the first month I had it, I turned down an offer for $4,000 because I had just had it appraised, and I was like, and I was newer at reselling. I've had this thing for a long time. I was newer at reselling, and I don't know, do y'all ever do a comp and you just have your pride? No, this is worth this much. I'm going to get that much out of it. I like it enough. I don't mind that it hasn't sold. But if someone were to offer me $4,000 for it today, I would take it in a heartbeat. I did reach back out to said person, and they had changed their mind and decided not to get it. They liked it in the moment. That happens. I have turned down recently an offer of $1,500 for it. I don't think that I would go that low. I know that similar lamps, not by the same artist, that were recreated that are neon, have sold for $250, $300, but this artist, his lamps sell for a decent price. And so if I sit on it for another 3, 4 years, 5 years, I like it enough. I don't know that I mind. So there's not many things that I won't sell. And everything I own, I would sell. I'm not someone who holds on to items so much that I can't let them go. But if someone were to walk in and offer me $500 for that lamp right there, I would take it. But my bad. I need to list it to be able to do that, don't I? But there's not much that I think that's the only thing I've ever kept and intentionally not listed. So maybe it's my lamp. Who knows? But even these others, I had a conversation with someone who was interested in that neon lamp in Florida off Facebook Marketplace the other day. And they made me a fair offer, but they didn't want to pay the shipping fee for it. And so they're discussing it. Maybe I'll hear back, maybe not. And maybe this lamp will be mine for another year. We'll see. The offer was $3,000. I told them yes. And shipping really, I think the shipping was going to be on UShip just under $400, which isn't that big of a a fee for me, in my mind, to have it freight shipped from Oklahoma to Florida. Y'all, I could talk forever. Reselling has become my favorite thing in the world. I love finding that one vintage item or that one rare item that I paid a quarter for and made $250 on, which has happened to me more than I would like to admit. I love doing, I just love getting online and doing the research. And I love going out and thrifting. My time just doesn't allow for it as much, in the sense that the best thrift stores for my for my rural area are about an hour drive to an hour and a half drive. My favorite thrift store that I like to go to when I was working in Enid sometimes is Uptown Thrift in Enid, Oklahoma. I never walked out of that store without a cart full of items that were worth listing and making money on. In Stillwater, there are a few thrift stores up there that are hit or miss. I just feel like so many of them, not all of them, but so many of them, Goodwill, are overpriced 90% of the time for what you get. And the time it takes me, I know it's just a 30-minute drive, it's not that bad, but to drive 30 minutes to walk through the store for an hour or two and comp my items, to pay for said items, drive back home 30 minutes, unload the items, and maybe I've gotten half a carload of stuff that will get me through a day or two worth of listing, when I can spend the same amount of time on a computer or my phone, get an entire carload of things that I know I can profit $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 off of, with the exact same amount of time spent for researching. So like if I go to Goodwill today, it's an hour drive time round trip, 2 hours in the store, give or take, an hour to unload. So that's just 4 hours right there. In 4 hours, I can search through 3 different auctions and have purchased them and then just drive to pick them up and come home. And so I can get triple the amount of items, and most of the time for less money. I don't mind paying up for an item if I know I'm going to profit on it. I will. I paid $250 for that neon lamp. I don't mind paying up when I know that there's going to be a profit. Even if sometimes I know I knew that the profit might be a long haul wait on that one. That didn't bother me because I know it will be a high return. But if I know it's going to be a fast return profit, I don't mind paying up. I have paid for a DVD VHS combo player that was new sealed in the box. I paid $60 for it. I didn't mind, but I knew it would be out of my shop in a week for $150, and it was. So I think for me, the main takeaway is finding the best sourcing method that works for you and your business model. I can speak. Knowing what to source is going to turn a profit. Having that knowledge and being willing to take the time to get that knowledge, either by scrolling Facebook and seeing what people are posting that they've sold and how much they've sold it for, by absorbing YouTube content, which is my favorite way of doing it, although I do both, or by going through eBay sold comps and looking at what has sold and how much it is sold for, doing your own research on items that you find on Facebook Marketplace or in the thrift store to see whether it's worth the asking price for what it's going to sell. I think that you make your money in the buy 99.9% of time in reselling. But in order to do that, you have to have the knowledge to do that. And with this job, if you want to run it as a career or a job, any job, you have to go to school or have an education, or you have to learn and be trained on the spot. This one's no different. You have to take the time to learn. And the learning never stops. I'm always finding new things that are worth my time to thrift. You have to be willing to learn to ship items, willing to learn what platform is best to ship with. USPS, UPS, FedEx, whether you want to go Ground Advantage, Priority, UPS Ground, what's the other one? Ground Saver. There's so many different. Whether you want to ship using Shippo or Pirate Ship or eBay shipping labels, whether you want to do your own shipping on Mercari or use their labels. Poshmark, you have to use their labels. There's so many things out there to learn, y'all. And I have spent the time to learn many of them, and I'm willing to share with anybody that has any questions. But today, I think we discussed mostly sourcing. And we'll do it again next week. So next Monday, same time on this page. And I will also upload this over to YouTube. And eventually I'd like to start going live on YouTube, but I need a few more followers since I just started on YouTube. So if you feel up to it, follow me on YouTube at Titchy Farm Treasures. Here on this page on Facebook. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram. And it's at Titchy Farm Treasures across all the platforms. If you took the time to watch this video, I appreciate your time. And guys, I will see everyone here at the same time next week, and we'll discuss maybe shipping, or if somebody wants to discuss something else or wants me to talk about something else, just send me a private message, let me know, and I will add it to our next chat. I appreciate anybody who's watched. I hope you'll have a great day. God bless and keep thrifting. Bye.